What's going on, everyone? Bran here, about to give you the bloody breakdown on some Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween Ends news. So just yesterday we got the news that Jamie Lee Curtis had officially wrapped filming on her parts for Halloween Ends. And we're going to dig into some of the questions and concerns I've seen people have. And we're even going to dig in a little bit into what could potentially go down in this film a little bit later on. But I want to go ahead and start out with the Instagram post that Jamie Lee Curtis made. And then we'll get into a little bit more of what this kind of entails. So I'll put it up on the screen here. It says, "A bittersweet end for me on the Halloween movies. I've made great friends and I have collaborated with wonderful artists on these 3 movies, and today my part in the film has been completed, and with it the end for me of this trilogy. It's all because of the fans who have always supported me, and more importantly, Laurie. The creative teams at Blumhouse, Trancas, Miramax, Roughhouse, and Universal, and my Strode strong women, Judy Greer, Andy Matichak, Kyle Richards, as well as my nemesis, James Jude Courtney." And then she leaves a couple of behind-the-scenes images that I'll put up on the screen here for you all as well. So that's it. This is, according to Jamie Lee Curtis, the end of the road in the Halloween franchise for her. This, in all likelihood, honestly, is the last time she's going to be portraying the character of Laurie Strode. Even after and I'm a guy who, even after Resurrection, I said there's still a possibility of seeing Jamie Lee Curtis in another Halloween film as Laurie Strode, and I ended up being right about that. At this point in time, I think, given, her age and, the fact that she really has, at this point, been in more Halloween movies than I think any other actor. She's beat out Donald Pleasant. She's beat out, Danielle Harris at this point. She really has become the embodiment of this franchise. But I do think this is probably the end for her. Now, do I think that they're never going to make another Halloween film again? That one's maybe a little different. Now, John Carpenter did say in a recent interview that he believes that, as far as Blumhouse is concerned, they're looking to wrap this one up. But later on in that same interview, he also said if the dollar sign is high enough, so to speak, that it will live, meaning films. So you never know. But I do think, maybe it's not with Blumhouse. Who knows? Maybe it is. But I think you'll probably get another Halloween film one day. But as far as Jamie Lee Curtis, in the role of Laurie Strode, this is probably the end of that. To be perfectly honest with you, I think we all generally have that feeling. Now, speaking of which, people really want this to be a really good performance for Jamie Lee, for the character of Laurie Strode, and a lot of people are having concerns at this point that maybe she's not going to be in this movie that much, kind of like in Halloween Kills. People are saying that her time on set was a little short. It was around 3 weeks to a month roundabout. And I've heard a lot of people voicing concerns about this, but I will say that I've also heard people who have way more experience on, say, for example, a horror film set than I do, and they seem to think that it's fine, that this isn't a big deal, given these people understand how a set works, a movie set works, and specifically in the horror genre, I will place my money on the fact that they know what they're talking about a little bit more than some of the people that I've seen that are upset about this. So I think we're fine with that. I think she's obviously the biggest star in this film. I think they win it. I mean, honestly, if you think about it, a month is probably long enough to get all the scenes out that you need. But I also at the same time do kind of understand people's concern. Not necessarily with this specific instance, but just people really want to see a really good ending between the Laurie and Michael saga. And I feel you there, and I'm definitely with you on wanting to make sure, absolutely sure, that this is done right this time, so we don't have the same feelings we had after, say, for example, Resurrection. And if this is done right, then I think it'll be satisfactory for everyone to the point to where you don't really need to revisit Michael and Laurie again. And that's really what I'm hoping for here. So I do understand the concern, but my position is basically people that know more about this than I do seem to think that it's okay, so I'm going to go with that. But as far as it being her last time playing the role of Laurie Strode, it is pretty big. It's 44 years now at this point, since she's been playing this role, and like I said, she's done it through so many films now, so many different incarnations and dimensions and parallel universes, I guess, at this point, because she's died twice before. But it's one of those things, like for slasher fans, for horror fans, this is actually a pretty big thing, because this is an iconic character, like the prototypical final girl, what we would become to know as a final girl. I think that in a lot of ways Laurie is that. So regardless of how you may feel about Jamie Lee Curtis herself, because she is a bit of a divisive person, but I think a lot of celebrities are, especially when they reach a certain point in their career. But like I say, it's a iconic character, and we're getting to see a good bit of that these days. A lot of these returning final girls and iconic characters returning to these horror franchises. But to have her, kind of like I said, the quintessential final girl, do this, and we end up getting an entire trilogy out of it, you know what, I'm happy about it. And I'll say this, regardless of what happens in this next one, I've been very satisfied with Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. I know there's a lot of detractors of these films, but the box office doesn't lie, and they've been very successful. Even with the second one streaming on Peacock, and pandemic raging again. So yeah, I think this one will probably end up doing better than Halloween Kills does financially. Should the pandemic be in a good place at that point in time, because they said they're not going to be streaming this one. So I doubt it'll make Halloween 2018 money, like 255 mil, but I do think it'll probably end up topping what Halloween Kills made, which I believe is around like 140 to 150 mil. But yeah, I guess that's going to be about it, folks. It really is bittersweet, as Jamie Lee said here in her Instagram post. It's cool that we're going to finally get, if the first two are any indication, in my estimation, a really good conclusion to the Laurie Michael story that we haven't gotten before. So I am happy about that. But yeah, I want to know what you all think. Leave your comments down below in the comment section. That is where they go. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like it. If you didn't, dislike it. Nobody will see that shit. And you know what? As usual, subscribe if you've enjoyed, and check the description section for a couple of links to follow me or support this channel. So with that said, leave your comments down below. I really want to hear what you all have to say about this. I'm Bran, and you've just got the bloody breakdown on Jamie Lee and Halloween Ends.